Space, the final frontier, beyond our earthly domain, a vast and endless expanse, full of wonder and mystery it remains. From the reaches of our atmosphere to the depths of the cosmic abyss, we explore and discover the universe's secrets we cannot miss. The stars and galaxies above are an endless source of inspiration as we gaze upon the heavens with awe and fascination. We launch our probes and rovers to explore the planets and moons, discovering new worlds and landscapes beneath their dusts and dunes. The quest for knowledge and understanding drives us to push the boundaries as we search for answers to the universe's countless quandaries. Space, the final frontier, a challenge that we embrace, for it holds the key to our future as we journey through time and space. Welcome back. I hope that you guys enjoyed that little intro. We actually just recently did a video on artificial intelligence in the aviation industry, and I thought, let's prompt GPT-4 to produce a poem about space exploration. And that's what it gave us, and I was relatively moved by that, so figured I'd include it on a little intro. Today we're going to be briefly talking about the Artemis II mission. We recently did an Artemis II video on just a basic crew introduction, and as we did say we were going to do a video talking about this mission, we are going to do that today. Now, you will pretty much find that Artemis II, as we go through, is almost identical to Artemis I. In all actuality, it's pretty much spot on identical. So we're not going to harp on too much, but rather we're going to talk about some things and how they're going to affect Artemis III, as well as just provide some clarification on certain aspects of the Artemis II mission. In addition to that, we're going to talk a little bit about the recent SpaceX situation that occurred here in the last couple of weeks and how that could potentially affect the Artemis mission. Artemis II is the second scheduled mission of NASA's Artemis program and the first scheduled crew mission of NASA's Orion spacecraft. Currently planned to be launched by the Space Launch System, or SLS, in November of 2024, the Orion spacecraft will perform a lunar flyby and return to Earth. This mission is planned to be the first crewed spacecraft to travel to the moon and beyond low Earth orbit since Apollo 17 in 1972. Throughout the history of space exploration, only a few missions have ever been flown that bear similarities, including Apollo 8 and Apollo 13. In December of 1968, the Apollo 8 mission, crewed by Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and William Anders, flew their command and service module beyond low Earth orbit and completed 10 orbits around the moon. Apollo 13 in 1970 was the only Apollo mission that flew past the moon by a free return trajectory. Now, if you're a nerd like me, you may ask, what is a free return trajectory? Well, we'll tell you. In orbital mechanics, a free return trajectory is a trajectory of a spacecraft traveling away from a primary body, for example, Earth, where gravity due to a secondary body, in this case the moon, causes the spacecraft to return to the primary body without propulsion. In layman's terms, when you hear people talk about slingshotting around the moon or slingshotting around the planet, as often is referred to in movies and, cinema and Hollywood.
9.5 Gs for 11 minutes. I'd start praying about it right now.
Stand by for lunar roll.
This isn't normal!
What do you mean this isn't normal?
This is way worse!
8 Gs.
Oh, we're gonna die!
We have acquisition of signal from Independence and Freedom.
Okay. All right. Welcome back.
Whatever, that's really what they're talking about is a free return trajectory. So using this, the Artemis II mission plan is to send 4 astronauts in the first crewed Orion MPCV spacecraft into a lunar flyby for 21 days using the Block 1 variant of the Space Launch System, as we previously mentioned, the SLS. The mission profile is a multi-translunar injection, MTLI, or multiple departure burns, including a free return trajectory, there it is, buzz buzz, from the moon. The Orion spacecraft will be sent to a high Earth orbit with a period of roughly 42 hours. During this time, the crew will perform various checks of the spacecraft's, life support systems, as well as do an in-space rendezvous and proximity operations demonstration using the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, ICPS. If you want to learn more about some of that stuff, go check out the Artemis I video as a target. When Orion reaches perigee, once again, it will fire its main engines to complete the TLI, or translunar injection, which will send it to a lunar free return trajectory before returning to Earth. Okay, that was a lot. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, or MTLI, or the TLI maneuver, all that stuff, we pretty much in-depth explained that in our previous video. I don't want to dive into it again here. However, essentially they are going to be conducting the same exact mission as Artemis I, just crewed, but there are a few things to note that make this different. First being, obviously, there are human lives on board. Artemis II is to be crewed by 4 astronauts, including the first woman, first person of color, and first non-American, quote unquote, to travel beyond low Earth orbit. Now, we've already gone through the crew, being, Reed Weissman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. Again, we did the crew video. Go check that out, and we talk about their backgrounds. But the whole goal of the Artemis program and later missions is to bring in international crews, including astronauts representing European as well as Asian nations, and to expand and unify this, beyond Earth exploration mission to include multiple space agencies from around the world. It goes without saying, but just as Artemis I provided valuable data to be able to conduct Artemis II, Artemis II is going to be providing a significant amount of data to be able to accomplish Artemis III, where the whole goal is to land humans back onto the surface of the moon. Now, over the past several days, there's been a lot of questions as to whether the SpaceX Starship explosion that occurred will affect these upcoming Artemis missions. It's worth noting that currently Artemis I, Artemis II, and Artemis III are all templated to utilize NASA's Special Launch System, SLS, that we have previously talked about. The SpaceX Starship is considerably larger and more powerful than the Artemis SLS, and about 14 seconds into the test and at 127,000 feet exploded over the Gulf of Mexico. Now, in November of 2022, NASA did announce that there was a second contract option that was awarded to SpaceX, where with that addition, SpaceX would provide a second crew landing demonstration in 2027 as part of NASA's Artemis IV mission. The biggest takeaway out of all of this is to understand that SpaceX's Starship has a multitude of variants, and it's a super heavy rocket system collectively used to transport, crew, cargo to the Earth orbit, Moon, Mars, beyond is their whole goal. And this particular one is just a small step in the bigger picture and should not necessarily directly impact Artemis II or III for that matter. SpaceX, in conjunction with NASA, successfully developed and tested, for that matter, the Orion spacecraft, and has been working on developing their human landing system. We want to thank you again for stopping by the Brotallion YouTube channel. If you like the content, smash subscribe. Throw down in the comments below what you are most interested to see out of Artemis II, III, and the future of the Artemis program, or what your thoughts are on this whole space exploration program in general. If you want, head over to www.brotallion.com. We just dropped a pretty awesome t-shirt, Rotor Vision, which is a play off the 1990s MTV logo, highlighting the helicopter assault force. Till next time, guys, thanks again. Peace out.